Hi guys, my name is Lisa Whitehouse and I'm the artist behind Whitehouse Art. Thank you for joining me today for one of my mini tutorials. Be sure to hit subscribe if you want to see other videos like this one. Let's get started. So for today, I'm going to be walking you through how to paint a paw print. I've decided to use a mix of fall colors that represent the season we're in right now. So I'll walk you through which colors I used. I am going to be using yellow ochre, cadmium orange, cobalt green, a tiny bit of permanent green in pale, as well as alizarin crimson. It's a deep red color. As for brushes I'll be using, I like to use a flat to do my drops. I like to use an angled brush to do a complete wash, as well as being able to have more control using the tip of the brush. You can also get this type of control using a round brush, using the tip of the round brush for the perimeter. And then I like to use a fine brush just to fill in a tiny bit of detail towards the end, and I'll walk you through how I do that as well. You'll want to have a good palette to work from. I like to use an ice cube tray, but most art stores have nice palettes. The reason I like the ice cube tray is because of the nice deep sections so that the colors don't bleed into each other. I draw it out using a pencil, and I have a water tray here. It has two sections in it, one for clean water for your wash and then one to clean your brush in. All right, so why don't we get started? So first things first, you can see I lightly drew out the paw print. I recommend just doing a bit of a kidney shape with a bulge on the end for the base of the paw print with 4 little toes around it. You can do it quite lightly, and then if you get a little too dark, feel free to erase it with a good clean white eraser at the end, just to make sure you don't have too many pencil marks showing through when you're done. So first things first, we're gonna lay down the green. So what we wanna do in order to be able to get to that point is to lay down a nice clean wash throughout the whole thing. So what I do is I start by doing a very loose wash all over the paw print. And I don't worry about getting every single section. If you see little white spots showing through, that's quite all right. If you've seen any of my other paw prints I've done, there's often little bits of white showing through or lighter color showing through underneath. That gives the watercolor a nice dimension. So we'll start with the base of the paw print. We're gonna start with the dark green, just around the perimeter. For this first coat, we're just trying to get a nice base down. So don't get too finicky and play with it too much. Then we move on to a bit of the light green here. That can overlap the dark green. Then I take a bit of orange and I sort of move that around. My orange is quite opaque because I actually have a gouache in my palette right now, but I actually recommend using a watercolor for this instead of a gouache. If you're not sure about the difference between gouache and watercolor, gouache is a much more opaque color, so you're gonna get those really strong, vibrant colors, but it's almost harder to use in some ways because it goes on so strong, you have to rein it in a lot. So after the orange, I'll lay down a bit of yellow. This is the yellow ochre right here. And I like to be adding water as I go, just making sure the paw print is staying nice and wet as you're going along, because if it dries out too much, it won't give you that nice gradient and the colors won't bleed into each other. And then for the far corner, that's where I get that nice red, that deep red. So you can see all the fall colors showing up here, all the colors of the leaves right now. For this coat, what I like to do is sometimes take a bit of clear water and my brush, and I'll create a little clear blob here. And then what I do is I gradually bring my brush in and just touch and let it bleed out. And then I'll take a clean, dry paper towel and lighten that up a bit. It gives you a bit more control if you use a dry brush to sop it up as well. But I sometimes use a paper towel. So that's all I would do there. And then I take the wide brush that I was telling you guys about, and this is where I'll do a couple of drops on the first layer. So I'll just take my brush and throw in some droplets. just to sort of loosen up the first layer. This helps get some red drops in with the yellow, adds a bit more dimension. Put some green over here. And then if you get them outside, that just gives it a little messier look, keeps it nice and loose. And we'll be going back and adding another coat on top of here, so not to worry if it dries quite light, because we'll be going back and adding more. So the next step is to do all the toes now. So we treat the toes the same way we did the pad of the foot. So we put a nice wash down. And we'll be following the same colors we used in the pad of the foot. Except this time, I think it would be fun to do sort of the opposite. So starting red here and then moving towards the green. So I'll take a little bit of the red and I'll just let that follow the shape of the toe. I'm going to keep this one quite strong red and only add a tiny bit of the yellow ochre. Because the next toe I'm going to do quite yellow. So the next toe I take clear water. And then I take a bit of yellow and I'll just follow this side. And then I take a bit of orange next, because orange was the next color. And the nice part about following sort of a pattern is that you know exactly where you're going next. So after orange came the green. So we can go make this one predominantly orange with a little bit of green on the edge. And I'll use the light green. And it's fun to just come back and drop color down elsewhere just to add interest as you go. So for this one, we're going to do predominantly dark green. So we'll take clear water, add a touch of light green here, and then do predominantly the darker green. We'll add, once again, just come back to here and add a bit more, a little more here. And then the same way we did with the pad of the foot, we're going to go and add a few more splatters here. So we just kind of, while it's still wet, we'll just add a few green, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of dark green, and then a little bit of orange. I'm going to go back and add a bit more orange here because it's kind of fun. That one went really dark, so I'm actually going to lift up a bit of that. That's the nice part about watercolors is you do have the control of lifting out colors as you go. Some people are afraid of watercolors because they feel like there's no control. And I always feel like that's where the that's where the paper towel is your friend. Because using the paper towel allows you to lift up color and control how much you get, how far it bleeds. The more wet your page is, the more it's going to bleed and the more you'll have to sort of rein in the color. So if you want more control, use less water. If you want it to be more fluid, more loose, use more water. So now we're going to let this go ahead and dry. And as it dries, I will go ahead and work on a different painting. I recommend having a few paintings on the go at a time. It just helps you be a little more patient. So I'll check back when this thing's dry. All right, so the first coat is mostly dry. Sometimes I let a few wet parts sneak through. I don't find it affects the second coat very much, so we're ready to get started. So for the second coat, what I do is I repeat the steps of the first coat, and I do it fairly lightly so that it allows the first coat to show through. I think that's part of the beauty of watercolors is that you can see multi-dimensional colors. So we just take clear water again, and without covering the entire thing, this is where I let a few more white spots show through, or in this case, the previous color show through. So I just loosely place this around, and then I start in again with the green. So this is where you follow the perimeter again. I'm going to allow a bit of the light green to come up around here. I'll take a bit of the orange and come up around here. I find sometimes it's good to get a little darker with the second coat just because it does dry so much lighter. Don't be afraid to go in a little bit stronger on this coat. And as you can see, there's little sections showing through where you can see the previous colors showing through. That's really what you want to achieve on this coat. So I'm going to take a flat brush again and do a few splatters. The spot here I noticed is a little too perfect, so sometimes if we take some clear water and tap the brush with clear water and a mix of paint and clear water, it can sometimes break up those edges a little bit. Just by doing that, I find it makes it a little more random looking, not so perfect. Some of those splatters, I don't like the shape of them, so I'll go ahead and take a paper towel and just sort of dab the ones up that I don't like, especially the really big ones, because they take a really long time to dry. So that's all you want to do for the first coat, is add the splatters, add the same color again, and essentially repeat steps 1 through 5. All right, so now we're gonna go section number 2. So that's this little guy right here. Taking the red again, darkening that. Section 3. This one I can tell it's already fairly dark, so I might just do a little bit of orange over here. I don't want to go too dark. Number 4. A little bit of that dark green over here. And then the last toe here. I noticed this little blob's a little bit dark there, so what I do is I take a clean dry brush and I'll just dab up a little bit of that. I don't like when the sections get a little too strong. Sometimes I take up a bit of the color. And then what we do as the final finishing touch on this coat is just to go around and add a few more splatters again. I like to do some clear ones around just to break up the perfectness of the circles. When you add clear water right next to it, I find sometimes it bleeds into there. You can encourage it a bit by massaging it out. And that's pretty much it. I'm just sort of going around and loosening up some of the edges so that it's not quite as perfect. I like how you have this defined edge here, but it is nice to sometimes break it up a tiny bit. So I'll take a clear, mostly dry brush and just kind of massage that edge a little bit. Not all the way around, but partly. That sometimes loosens it up a bit, so it's not quite such a sharp edge. This one I find is a little too strong here. I'm gonna loosen that one up too. So that's pretty much it. For the final coat, you're just kind of walking around, or traveling around with your brush, loosening up some of the edges, just like this. So that it's not quite as perfect. And how much you do is a little bit up to you. It's a bit of an organic process, figuring out where it needs more or less work. A bit intuitive, I should have said. So anyway, that's pretty much it. So now I just sign the corner. I have a signature I use in all my paintings, so I'll do that here. So that's pretty much it for this guy. So I'll let him dry, and then once it's completely dry, I like to take a white eraser and erase all these pencil lines. Usually once paint is 100% dry, I usually give it at least a couple of hours, you can erase through the watercolor. So that means the pencil, so the color has absorbed into the paper and the pencil will come right off, even though you can see it through the watercolor. That's not a problem at all. So that's about it. Thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you guys had fun. Be sure to check out my other videos for more inspiration and leave a comment below with some ideas that you want to paint. Thank you and see you next video.